Hey everybody, welcome to a Tatter-a-Fact, the podcast where PMU gets real, raw, and unapologetic. I'm Teryn Darling with Girlz Ink, your no bullshit mentor. I got 25 years in the game, you guys, so let's raise the bar and let's keep it there. Today, I am super excited. I'm not alone. And no Zoom. I got an actual real live person in the seat next to me who I'm super stoked to have. She's from Canada, Vancouver, to be exact, I think. And she is what I would consider a real, true specialist in medical tattooing or paramedical tattooing, however you like to term that. So, Candice Falcon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that intro teared me up for some reason.
It did. You got teared up? Oh, jeez.
It's honestly not hard.
Are you on your period? Are you sure?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I need to track that better.
Well, you're easy then. You're easy to get. You're easy then. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take it easy on you. I'll take it easy on you. But so I had Shara on here a few months ago, and now you. So and artists are very. I don't know if you know Shara or not.
I haven't met her.
Juarez. Well, she's
but
fabulous.
I know of her, of course. Yeah.
Fabulous human being.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw her at PMU World Live. I see her all the time. She speaks. I absolutely love her. She's one of the greatest, nicest, sweetest, kindest humans you could ever have. She's funny as hell. So we had her on here. And of course, she has her philosophies, her beliefs, her ways of doing things. So I think you're like my second, like real true specialist in paramedical tattooing.
Wow.
To have on here. Yeah. And I like having different artists with different philosophies in the same field. Because there's not, as you know, there's not just one philosophy or one way of getting to a really great result. So I'm really excited for this conversation. And I think there's probably a lot of listeners that are currently doing permanent makeup and learning paramedical, whether that's, breast work, scar camouflage, custom work. Paramedical tattooing is on their bucket list, their dream list. They want to learn it. So this is going to be a really great episode. So let's start with, first, do you call it paramedical tattooing or medical tattooing? Is one right or wrong? Is it both? Is it tomato?
Okay, so I'll call it paramedical if I'm trying to reach people in the industry that look it up under that word. Okay. Because it's just a marketing thing.
Okay.
In my opinion, like that's kind of like the only way I would use it. I don't feel like paramedical is the right word for me.
Okay.
But just because everyone calls it that, I'll put, hashtag paramedical or whatever. Or I'll kind of refer to it as that just so it's under the umbrella so people know what I'm talking about. I was calling it primarily like restorative tattoo, but then is that correct either? Because some of the work we're doing isn't necessarily restoring.
Right.
It's creating.
Right.
So I've kind of been like all over the place. Like I'll be like medical / restorative tattoo, but medical's a good umbrella.
So you've kind of settled on
medical's kind of medical's
tattoo.
Ideal.
Medical's ideal. Covers everything.
Yeah. I'm type A. My answers are like it's funny, like, when Amber was like trying to do an interview with me, like I just was like, I need to know all the context first. Like I mean
she told me that about you. She said we're gonna get along great.
Yeah.
Because I told her, she was just here the other day. I'm like, I got my bullet list for Candice and I've gone through it and I've got a couple. She goes, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Candice and her bullet list. She goes, yeah, you guys are gonna get along great.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I have always called it medical tattooing.
Yeah.
So that's how you and I met. You're from Canada, but Amber, Miss Amber Red, she was my apprentice at the Girlz Ink studio for 6.5 years. And you came over to take a class, not with me. I'll just put out there, not with me, not with me, but which is okay, with Amber.
Yeah.
And I completely understand why. Amber is fantastic. And there's something just really magnetic and like fascinating about her too. At the same time, being super skilled. So you came over and you took a class with Amber.
Yeah.
And did you guys just click immediately? I think she told me the story, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, I took a eyeliner one-on-one because I really just wanted to, like, basically I was at the point where I had learned, like, in Vancouver, like, there's no regulation around tattooing, no license, nothing. So it was like, I was like, I just need like an actual proper, like, mentor style, like, just look at the way I'm tattooing and the way my eyeliners were coming out. I was like, I'm either going to learn this properly or I'm just not even going to offer it at all.
Which is the right way to approach everything in PMU.
Yeah.
I think.
That's the way I think I was probably like around like a year in. And I say that kind of like with the quotes because like when you first start, it's like, how many procedures do you actually get under your belt in a year?
Right.
How much experience do you have? How much of that experience is even worth something because of the way you were taught? I took like a 1-week course at like a tattoo school in Vancouver, which is now closed. And they were just like churning out. And it's funny because the models that they had at the school, you could like look later on in their social media. It was like the same models like coming back for like color correction because like the inks they were using, like it was just a mess. So everything I learned I threw away. And then when I came to learn with Amber, she was like, you're not holding the machine right. So it was good. It was like really worth it to like actually, and honestly, like I think it's good coming from that perspective because I understand what it's like for people to like really want to learn and to try. But I think everyone has gone through it where they've taken trainings that are like so terrible. And then you kind of are like, oh, I just don't feel comfortable. And like, you know, what about this? What about, you have so many questions after.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good to do the training and learn so much from having that one-on-one experience.
And you know, and she ended up really being a great trainer, not just a great artist. You know, I mean, my very first Shades and Strokes, I think Amber and Michonne was only with me maybe 3 months. And I put them right to work at Shades and Strokes, you know, and that course that I did with Mary Richardson ran for 10 years. And they were like mandated to be at every single one, twice a year. They were my assistants in my, you know, my smaller intimate classes at Girlz Ink. And I remember the first time Amber left to go do a course off site with someone else. And she was always used to my courses, the way I set up trainings, the way I trained, the way Mary Richardson trained, you know, because some of my good colleagues would come in and do trainings, and I only co-trained with really good trainers. And she went somewhere else, and she came back, and she was just like, "Oh my God, T, they didn't do this, they didn't do that," you know. And so, and I think. And I totally think that was probably one of the best learning moments of your career, because you've experienced what great training is like, you know, and sometimes we're here till 8 o'clock. We're here till the last student gets it. You know, we're here till 8 o'clock. Sometimes we don't just shut down at 5 because, oh, class is over at 5. I mean, you know, and then for her to go to a poorly run training class, it was just really good for her.
Well, I mean, it's invaluable to actually learn in a established studio with a mentor, you know, like you, like teaching from the very beginning, like actually seeing it done, all that sort of stuff, like as opposed to my situation where I just like paid a bunch of money for a course, and then it's kind of like, okay, we're learning in the morning, we're tattooing in the afternoon. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. And I actually have an artistic background. Like, I'm an artist, I'm a painter, and I had my brows done before, so I had those advantages over some of the other students,
right? Where
they're like, I've never seen this or had it done. I'm not an artist. Like, you know, they're just taking them, like, because anyone can learn, you know?
Yeah. Don't even get me going. Don't even get me going on that.
So yeah, like having that experience with you.
Right.
And then for her to see, yeah, like what it's like to not be in that environment.
Right.
Like that's my whole career.
Your whole career. We're going to get into that. But, you know, I was really hard on them. I was hard on Amber.
Yeah.
You know, I was hard on her. My expectations of her were very, very high because my expectations of myself are very, very high. So same with Michonne. But they allowed me, Amber allowed me to be hard on her, to coach her hard, to mentor her hard, you know, and I did, you know, because I wanted her. I saw talent in her, and I wanted to, you know, and there was a couple of times she might even have talked about it on her podcast, you know, where I totally pissed her off.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think about my experience, and I'm like, I would have preferred someone was like there being hard on me rather than me by myself, sweating, panicking, going to the bathroom for a break, being like, okay, what do I do? Like, okay, like it's gonna be fine, and then going back in and like taking a fresh look at it and whatever, and then like not having any guidance, like, should I do this, should I do that?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I mean, looking at it from my perspective, I'm like, I mean, I don't know what you did, but
I did a lot. I did a lot. There's a lot. We could do a whole podcast on what I did to Amber and Michonne. I'm not even joking. Like, I called them out. I surprised them with so much stuff along the way. Like, you know, but you know, it's just what you do when you care. It's just what you do when you care about someone, you know, I think. But there's a graceful way and a kind way to, you know, mentor someone hard. And then there's a mean and unkind way to mentor someone hard. So I mentored, you know, my girls in a kind, graceful way where they knew that I loved them and they knew that I cared about them, and they could come to me for, you know, in anything. Mm-hmm. And our relationship today, you know, she stayed, you know, a few years longer than she had to, than she was required to. And I think that speaks volumes. I mean, shit, Michonne stayed, you know, over 10 years. I had to tell her, okay, it's 10 years. You need to go. All right. So let's get into it. So okay. So medical tattooing. So let me ask you this, Candice. I think you may have strong opinions on this. If you want to be a medical tattooer, you want to do medical tattooing, is it okay, in your opinion, to start with medical tattooing? Or should you first become a skilled PMU artist or a skilled body tattoo artist and then move in to medical tattooing? Or can you just start with medical tattooing? Like, what are your thoughts and opinions on that? And I know that can be a controversial subject, and depending on how you answer, probably half the people are going to agree and applaud you, and half of the people are going to be like, oh, fuck her.
Well, I think sometimes we have to kind of like look at why we disagree with something.
Right.
And if it's like, oh, I disagree because like I want to do this and like that's just what I want. Like, is that enough of a reason? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I wanted to get into nipple tattoos. That was my goal. But I knew that I needed tattoo experience to get there, because
body tattoo experience.
Just any sort of actual tattoo experience.
Needle in the skin.
Exactly.
Okay.
How to tattoo.
So where did you start personally?
I started with permanent makeup.
Permanent makeup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's funny because, like I said, I'm an artist and a painter, and I would do paintings by commission. I went to art school. And so when I was like looking into tattooing, initially I wanted to kind of get into body art, but then I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of like the stress of all the drawing all the time. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know. I laugh about this with my friends that are body art tattooists. It's like, you're creating art for people that aren't artists. So they're like, I want like this and that, but they don't understand like what looks good, or what they're very like
Or they want a wolf with a forest and an airplane, and can you incorporate my
everyone's
son's name?
names, yeah.
Yeah, right?
A name
like,
in every
what?
leaf, yeah. Like, and all these flowers that don't go together, yeah.
I know.
Well,
I know.
and the thing is like, it's tough because like every time you talk about a tattoo, even if it looks really cool, every time you explain it, it always just like sounds so ridiculous, right? But anyway, I just was like, oh, it's just so hard to create art for somebody over and over again, and they're so picky, and they're like, it's on my skin for. I just was like, I can't go down that road for me.
Right.
So, I had permanent makeup done. I was a lifeguard, and it was great to have it done. And then I got into permanent makeup, knowing that my goal was to get into nipple tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted some experience so that I wasn't taking on the responsibility of like the nipple tattoos with no concept of like how an appointment should be run. I mean, there's also just even that, like how to run an appointment. What is it even? How long does it take? Like what? Like there's just so much experience. You got to walk before you run.
And you have to include like the type of surgery they had.
Yeah.
Radiation, no radiation. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot on the medical side and the healing side that goes into. You're right. You have to really consider the tissue and the type of surgery. Put aside tattooing it. What needle you're going to use.
What does it take to get to that tattoo appointment? Because
exactly.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Like,
when are they tattoo ready?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when you're booking permanent makeup, it's usually fairly straightforward. Like you have certain time blocks for certain appointments. It's going to take you like 2 hours for this, 3 hours for that, whatever, like touch ups, blah, blah, blah. And it's like set prices, set times. You can plan your schedule around that sort of stuff. They can book themselves in, whatever. But yeah, when you get into the more sort of complex or custom work, then it's kind of like, okay, well, like how much time has it been since your last surgery? Are there any upcoming surgeries? Yeah. What has been done in the area? And then also those considerations with like how it'll heal. I did nipple tattoos yesterday, like 3D appearance on a flat surface. Mm-hmm. Actually, they're hearts.
And you're fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
Your work is stellar.
Thank you.
Stella, you do really. I was talking to Amber just Sunday. She was here. Yeah, at my dinner party. And we were talking about your work. And we were both just talking about it. It's like your work is like so beautiful.
I appreciate that.
No, you're really, really welcome. So, and I just want people to know that you do beautiful, beautiful. And we'll just talk Areola right now.
Yeah.
Because I know you do other things that are very interesting. But your Areola work, just that, beautiful. And I know you teach it. And you're a great teacher. So, listeners.
Thank you.
Listen up. I wanted to put that plug in there for you.
Yeah, I think like when I was learning and I guess like developing my nipple tattoo process like within my business and how I wanted to do it, I reached out to surgeons and I asked them questions about the process of like, the surgeries and what people go through. And I asked a bunch of questions and I actually attended, and I'm actually about to fly back to Vancouver to tattoo live at this event. I attend an event every year called Bra Day, and it's Breast Reconstruction Awareness Day. And it's actually like a big educational seminar where a bunch of surgeons come and they talk about like all the different types of surgeries and like microsurgery and like flap surgery and like all these like different processes and ways that they do it. And then like people can go to that event and learn and sit in. And every year I sit through it because there's always little different things. And like, it taught me so much about what somebody goes through. And it's not just a one-time surgery. It's usually like quite a few processes. And then also like knowing that and understanding how the skin reacts to it is helping you as an artist with anticipating the outcome and also explaining that to the surgeon and the client. So like with radiation, like it's squeezing the skin. It's when you tattoo it, it like usually doesn't really like bleed too much. And it almost like looks like it's like already healed while you're
Mhm.
tattooing it. So the color on that side is so different from the color on the other side,
Right.
even if they're both like from a flap surgery, because that skin has undergone radiation.
Right.
So like if you're just kind of like, oh, I just want to do nipples, and you haven't gone through all those extra pieces, I just feel like when I teach, I say my courses are for advanced artists. And I mean that in the way that like you can't go into it without knowing, like you have to have tattoo knowledge.
Right.
So your answer, my roundabout, I'm coming back to the answer is I don't teach beginners to go straight into medical or nipple tattoos or anything, because it's such an info overload.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. And like, how would you know what regular healing looks like?
Right.
How would you know what to expect or compare it to? And the healing also takes like so much longer. Like, so for permanent makeup, like, you know, eyeliner and brows, I would say like whatever, the regular like 6 to 8 week mark or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for nipples, I always say like 10 to 12. And like, you know, some of these people, maybe they had their surgery like 19 years ago. I still am like, let's just wait 10 to 12 weeks, see what it looks like. And that's a long time in between to see it come back and learn from your own work as well.
Right.
And also just even.
And people are impatient. Sometimes patients are impatient.
Yeah.
And artists get impatient. I see a lot of artists question why. Why do we have to wait that long? Like with removal.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like, why do we have to wait that long?
And then you get your clients asking those questions.
Exactly.
And like, you need to be able to stand firm. I mean, I always joke that I'm like, oh, I'm in so much suspense. I'm like, I know it's on you, but I don't get to see it. So like, can you send me some pictures? Because like, you know, like I know you're the one that gets the finished product, but like, I want to know in the meantime, like, how's it looking?
Right.
Because I just have to wait all this time to actually see it.
So the doctor artist relationship, I think, is really important. Really important. So when you go to that particular seminar, you're learning a lot of information, but are you also, I would imagine you're also developing relationships with doctors.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think is really important. That's how I built, that's how I built my clientele when 25 years ago, when I came in to permanent makeup. I learned permanent makeup, and about 3 years, and I had body tattooing behind me, and about maybe 2 to 3 years in to permanent makeup, I did my first areola, and then I got into scar camouflaging, and I did a lot of the custom work that we talked about, and I did it for about 11 years, and we talked about this before we went live, and you asked me why I stopped. And I stopped once I stopped, like right when I feel like I mastered it and I got really good, which took me years and years, because there wasn't a lot of good trainings back then. And I had to rely on instinctual critical thinking and figuring things out. And I didn't make a lot of mistakes, but I did have to adjust some of my work in the beginning. But I was kind of almost self-taught, Candice, because 20 years ago, there just wasn't the quality of medical training that you can find today with people such like yourself. So why I gave it up, I told you, I told you, is because first I was doing too much. When you're doing eyebrows, lips, eyeliner, and you're really busy at that, and then all of a sudden you become really busy at scalp and camouflaging facelift scars and 3D areola work, and now you're getting these random procedures which you call custom work, dog bites, cigarette burns. I got hooked up with a women's advocate group for domestic violence. I did a knife wound. Women getting burned and beaten up and stabbed, and that's custom work. And it got too much for me. I got spread out too thin. I was really working like 7 days a week, and no joke, like 12 to 13-hour days for months on end.
There's a lot of emotional space they have to allocate for some of that work too.
Yes.
I've had to go to a counselor after some of my appointments.
I can see why. Because some of the stories are horrific. And it's trauma. Some of the backstories with some of these people is trauma. And forget trauma, just hearing the words, you have cancer, I think is traumatic. Right? So yeah, it's trauma based too. You're working with, and I always booked my PMU procedures first, the first part of the day, and then I would book my medical tattooing the last part of the day, because like you said, you can't really gauge how long it's going to take you to cover that particular scar or that dog bite, because you're mixing colors. There's no rhyme. And I never wrote down my mixes. How do you write down mixes? Do you know?
I have a process.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
You know me and my bullet points.
I know. I know. I just never could write down my mixes. That's why, all these years I never taught like breastwork or anything like that, because I'm like, I wouldn't know how to teach it, because for me, it's all instinctual.
Yeah.
And
that's
like,
the hardest part to translate
from the gut. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to translate that into like step by step by step. So let me ask you this. You come from a painting background, drawing background, myself as well. Mm-hmm. Painting, drawing since I was 5 years old, wood burning, very, very artistic. I think that gives us such an advantage, right? For that instinctual gut perspective on symmetry, on color, on blending, that sort of thing. Do you we agree it gives us an advantage. Do you think it's required?
No. I think there's other backgrounds that are advantageous to have. I think that it can be learned.
So such as what kind of backgrounds?
Well, I mean, there's people that come in where like, they're working a lot with like scar revision work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So like they understand like pressure and, texturizing, and, they have that background with scars and how they react already.
Right.
So like that's an advantageous background to have.
Yep.
There's people that come from a background of like makeup or aesthetics. They know things that I don't,
Right.
So I do feel like I try to listen to where my students come from. And I actually talk to pretty much everybody that comes into my course to get a good idea if this is a good fit for them. Because if they're not, if you're not willing to pay more than, a quick online course would cost, you're not willing to come in person and go hands-on, you're not willing to like take time and sit down and actually like treat this like a craft that requires time and effort and practice, then like it's not a good fit for you.
So
right?
Exactly. So let me ask you, because that's where PMU is.
Yeah.
Right. I just had Carla on. We were talking about it. Like PMU, eyes, brows, lips. It's become where, they're just skipping the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And they're just going, they don't even know what they don't know, Candice.
Well, it's like,
is it like that are you finding that's happening in
it's the
medical?
New frontier, so it's like I try to tell people like, okay, so compare it to university. Right?
Right.
Maybe that's not the best comparison. Compare it to a trade.
Right.
You go to trade school. You have a mentor. You learn from the ground up. You don't just go in and do like Red Seal or whatever. Here I am talking about trades as if I know. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just, you go in and you're like watching and you're learning and you're
like
building.
An electrician.
Yes.
You start out as my dad was a plumber.
Yeah, there you go.
Like he didn't end up being a master plumber. Like he had to go through school.
You're digging ditches.
Yes,
and then
exactly. He was a journeyman. He used the word grunt. I was a grunt for many years. And then you become a journeyman, and then you become a plumber. Then you get your master's, and then you add on pipe fitter.
You appreciate that foundation.
Yeah.
Because you got familiar with that feel and that understanding.
Right.
So now I'm, comparing it to working with practice skin or just learning with permanent makeup first. And then with my courses, they're hybrid courses. So at first I was teaching it all in person, and it was a lot. It was too much because it was like me going over all these detailed slides and modules that I had created and like little mini quizzes and practices and stuff for like days.
Right.
And that's like
exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting for me. It's exhausting for them.
Yeah. And then you're tired by the time the hands on.
Yeah, exactly. And then also I think it's like, it's so overwhelming. And I think what's nice about having that hybrid component first is you can like repeat certain slides if you're kind of like, oh, let me hear that again. Like, and then also you're like, you have a chance to put some of that into practice and let it absorb. And then you have questions. Because how many people do you hear that are like, oh, that makes sense. You watch a demo. That makes sense. That makes sense. You go to a course. Okay. It made sense when I was watching it. But then when I went to do it, it's like, well, this is different.
Yeah.
Because now, like, what about all these little nuances and details? So when people come in for the in-person part, I actually have them do full appointment run-throughs. Mm-hmm. So they start with greeting the client as if it's their own.
Well, and that's, some people might think that's like funny or not necessary, but it is necessary. A lot of people don't know how to greet.
Especially with
clients.
Like you're dealing with people's biggest insecurities.
Right.
You're looking at somebody's body, usually areas that are covered up.
Yeah.
So they're uncovered for you. And I have a whole section on language. Like, I'm like,
I don't even want to tell you how I started. You just will die. You'll die.
Like
you will die.
I'm like I've had students where, and like, this isn't their fault. And like, that's why it's so good to be in person. They're like, okay, so come in and take off your clothes. I'm like,
no, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine me. Imagine me like ripped blue jeans, Converse, and a wife beater. Right? Tattooed and pierced. I go greet him. Hey, what's up? And I bring him back. I was so immature, but I had talent. And I was very caring and loving and humorous. But I would bring him back. I put him in my room. I'm like, okay, yeah, just take your top off. Get right here. Yeah, I need to see. Need to see him. Need to see the girls, and they would take it off. And I just had no etiquette whatsoever. But it wasn't taught to me.
Yeah,
and I didn't know it. And the way I made my clients feel comfortable was through hugs. Humor.
Well, and over time they could see through the appointment with you that you cared and were
very much
skilled,
so.
But sometimes that initial
yes,
reaction.
I probably scared them.
Yeah. And then you have to build trust with them. And then you probably felt awkward.
Yes.
And then they feel awkward. So like, how can you start off in a more therapeutic way?
I know. Well, then I had the whole lesbian thing, which added a whole nother layer to, you know, because imagine 20 somewhat years ago.
Yeah.
Right. We've come a long way accepting gay people.
Yeah.
Well, back then I was a lesbian. I'm still a lesbian.
I was going to say.
And I was a lesbian.
I'm like, oh, that's changed.
And I was a lesbian before that. No, nothing's changed. Nothing's going to change. Olivia's over there laughing. Still a lesbian, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. But I didn't disclose that.
Yeah.
Never felt the need to. When I came out as gay, my whole family was amazing. I never had any issues with like religion or anything. I don't know. My coming out was like just very easy. So I was always very comfortable in my shoes being gay. And so nothing crossed my mind. But I think it was the second or third areola that I did. And she found out. that I was gay. And she wrote me a scathing letter. Yes, she was, yes, it was bad. And it was so traumatic to me that I didn't think I would ever do another breast again. And nor would anybody want a lesbian doing their breasts. So it was so traumatic for me. I can't even tell you. It was the first time being gay had a negative, effect on me emotionally and mentally. And I'm really lucky that I had a great mentor, and I was with Kat by then. And so I went back to doing breast work, but to this day, Candice, I tell them right from the get-go, I'm a gay woman. And I still feel...
How do you do that? Like, is it in your forms?
No, everybody comes in for a consultation.
Yeah, okay.
They come in for a consultation.
Right.
And when they come in, I tell them, I say, look, due to a bad experience many, many years ago, I just want to inform you. I go, it's sad I feel I have to inform you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to inform you that, I'm gay. I've been married to my wife for 21 years. I'm going to be seeing you naked. I'm going to be touching you. I said, so if there's any part of that makes you feel uncomfortable, you're free to get up and go. And I can tell you 100% of the time since I've started doing that, they look at me like, why? I don't care. Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
So I guess I just got that one lady, that was a homophobe or whatever. But the things she wrote me, just really scared the shit out of me and really traumatized me. So, yeah. So, I'm this little tattooed lesbian out, like, with no etiquette. So I had to learn etiquette, how to put the, the little, leave the room, while they undress, and then their little paper, cover up, and knock on the door when you're ready, all that stuff.
Yeah, like the doctor's office.
The doctor's office.
I know, I've had that conversation with people before. Like, when I go to the doctor, they're like, oh, just, like, put on this gown and I'll come back in. I'm like, well, I'm like, by the time I've waited so long, I'm like, just stay here while I do it. Okay. Like, I'll just quickly, let's just do it right now. But no, it's a big part of it for sure.
It is a big part of it. So I think having the theory online is critical because they can go back to it. Cause like you said, there's a lot to learn. Etiquette, language.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then
can you say boobs or do you have to say breasts?
Well, you know what? I say chest.
You say chest.
Yeah.
I say boobies.
Okay.
I say boobies.
Yeah, well, you could do that.
But you kind of get a feel. Once in a while, I will say breasts. You got to read the room.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the reason why I say chest is because when I was doing it out of my studio in Vancouver, I had walls that didn't go to the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And I liked that open feel because I love to talk and I'm an extrovert, and we were all, it was kind of a communal thing. We could like talk over the wall sort of thing.
Right.
And the artists in my shop were like, you should have like a porthole. Cause I'm like, what's going on out there? But like I think it's because I did it to keep it vague for anyone listening.
Gotcha.
So I said, yeah, for your chest, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and then it was kind of more vague sounding because I also am not the type of person to like come out of the room and be like, I just did some nipples. And like the person's like, they all saw. I don't know. I feel like for a lot of people, it's really private.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody overhearing, I just always have said chest. And I guess that's why it kind of stuck. I don't teach people like, oh, don't identify the breasts as breasts. Like, of course, it's a body part. Like, it doesn't actually matter. But I think that's where it originated from.
So then it's okay for people to find their comfortable word, like mine being boobies. I even call it, they like it when I call
just
it
like
a
laugh
boobie.
every time. I'm like, I'm very professional.
And so do my clients, and I call it a tit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just try to make light of it. I do hug them and I just tell them how honored and privileged I am to do this work for them. And at the end of every areola, I don't think there's been one that we didn't cry. hug and cry and whatnot. And I've never lost an Areola client, unless they've moved out of town and I had to find them a new artist in their location. So I guess it just depends, on your personality and how you say boobies and
and
that cute little smile you have on your face and
yeah,
things like that, like what you can say and what you can't say. But no, but I agree with you. There is professional language that should be used in the room, especially for this type of work. I have found that most of them are not modest. Because
by the time they come to you,
us,
they've had whole rooms of people.
That's right.
Not even necessarily asking, like, okay,
Right.
let's see here, let's get in there and let's poke.
Yes. And I don't know if it's because I'm in Vegas and the type of client like I draw to myself with the way I look and the way I am online, but I draw fun people that they want this appointment to be fun. It's the end of the road. It's the cherry on top. It's over after this one. All the other stuff wasn't very fun, and they want this one to be fun. I let them pick their music, and we have fun. So yeah, that's the way I approach it. So that's just my little way. But okay. So let me ask you this. But I do agree with you I'm not a teacher. If I was a teacher, I'd probably be teaching very differently and more professional language. You're a teacher, so you bear that responsibility of teaching them very professional language.
Well, and the thing is too, is like, you want to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to be you or you're trying to be me, it's not going to come out authentically.
Right.
And as artists, we want to be as authentic as possible. We are people. We're working with people. And I mean, it's interesting though, because I mean, I have green hair. I have a look.
Yeah.
And even though I joke that like when I do this sort of stuff, like when I, present at a convention or I teach or I come on the podcast, I do full drag. But I'm like a catfish because when people see me for a tattoo, I have like no makake on.
So they don't even recognize you.
Yeah. They're like, oh, yeah. Or they're like, yeah, you're way taller than I thought you'd be.
I get that. I get, oh, you're much smaller than I thought you'd be a lot bigger. I get that. That's what I get.
Larger than life.
Yeah, I guess so. But no, it's important. And the terminology for the different types of, flaps and surgeries and all that stuff. I think you're going to do this work, then you need to fully understand that and know that. So you can have these conversations, these intelligent, educational conversations with the patients. Do you consider them patients rather than clients?
I call them clients.
You do call them clients. Okay. Yeah, I always did too.
Yeah.
All right. I was just wondering. Okay. So there really is, no debate.
Well, I think if we have the same opinion, then no, there isn't.
As far as you're considered, as to it's not for beginners.
No, I don't.
You're just pretty firm on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I agree with you.
I could make so much more money if I took beginners. The amount of people I turn down that want me to teach them, that have no tattoo experience. I can't do it.
So let me play devil's advocate. So the argument, right? And I did hear this. I did see the song. The argument, the other side of that is the argument is like, well, aren't people's like faces just as important? I mean, I have to do an eyebrow for the first time. I'm not required to have a body tattoo, to learn how to do eyebrows. You have to start somewhere because there is the other side to that opinion. There's always two sides to a debate.
Yeah.
Right. And not necessarily one side is right or wrong. It's just your opinion. And I think it was Carlos said everybody opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Well, I mean, it's not even so much about the importance of the tattoo or even the location. It's about...
Is it about the skin?
Yes.
The skin.
Yeah.
Because the skin's compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's compromised
chemotherapy. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah. There's that. There's radiation, there's lymphedema, there's different types of surgeries, and, you know, scar placement. I have corrected nipple tattoos that were done by nurses where they didn't want to tattoo over a scar. So the nipples were like clearly just avoiding scars,
Yeah.
but they were like in different spots
Yeah.
because of that. And it's like, well, now what is this person supposed to do? They're like, I actually feel worse than when I had no nipples, because now I have like nipples that are like weird to look at.
Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
how do you correct something like that when they're just even in the completely wrong spot?
Right.
Now they have to go through tattoo removal, or they have to hide their chest even more. So like, yes, there is a responsibility with like tattooing someone's face. Of course, you don't want to mess up someone's face. And that's why you need so much training and experience and practice before you even do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying just like get out there and tattoo a brow and then you can come learn from me.
No,
You need to do it
that's
in
not
a
what
good
Candice
way.
is saying.
And but yeah, like the nipple tattoo thing plus the healing and emotional aspect of it, and then all the surgical stuff, and
It's just very layered.
yeah,
A lot more layered and a lot more complex. And I would even go as far as saying that the client themselves, just the human, what
they want to know your experience.
Yes, and what
they're going to ask,
and what they've gone through.
Yeah.
What they've gone through
Mhm.
to battle cancer, to come out triumphant on the other side, all the emotion and mental, you know, that a cancer survivor goes through, and no mistakes.
I mean, some of them,
No mistakes.
Some of them aren't triumphant in the battle, as you worded it.
No, they're not.
Yeah. So I've tattooed people that are like, I am, you know, I've had a recurrence,
Mm-hmm.
and like I am not going to live much longer, and I want this for
Yeah.
myself.
I as well.
Yeah.
I had one that she passed about 6 weeks after I did her areolas. Her son actually came to my studio to tell me in person. Yeah. And I remember talking to Kat about it. Like, I'm wondering like if I knew I was going to pass away, would that be important to me? You know, doesn't matter. It was very important to her.
It's the opportunity to make that choice for yourself.
100%.
You know, if you're like, I want to do this, like, who even cares?
Yeah.
Whether it like is like logic or emotional, it's like, let's just do this. And I think that's kind of, you know, the, I guess, liberating feeling in that moment is like, I want to do this. Like, let's just do it.
Yes.
Right?
I don't know. Maybe it's their religion or, you know, a sort of belief system that they have that they want to be whole again when they, you know, go to heaven or go to the next dimension, or, you know, people believe all kinds of, you know, different things, you know, with, you know, once we leave this earth. So we didn't really get into it. I didn't really ask her why. That wasn't the conversation we had. She just wanted it. She told me her son called me, said, you know, my mom's probably not going to last 2 months, but she wants this done, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll totally do it. You know, no problem at all. And we never really she told me she was not going to make it, but we never really had the conversation of why. I didn't feel it was my place to ask.
You have the conversation they want to have.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're like, okay, well, like, follow their lead of what they want to talk about.
Yes.
Actually, I had a client, and you know what? I'm like, I think I maybe overthink these things a little bit, but like, even I was like, should I even tell this? Because I feel like I'm so careful about what I share about people, but I'm like, it's anonymous. I don't know. I had a client where she got a call from her oncologist while I was tattooing her nipples. And then she's like, so like, how much time are we talking? And I'm like behind her and I'm like crying. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then she's like, okay, like, and she's talking about like how much time she has to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, I need to pull it together because like, this isn't about me, but like, whoa, what what
It's
a
heavy.
crazy thing to have happen.
Yeah.
And like I didn't ask her. She shared a lot. She's like super like open and talkative and whatever. But I guess like kind of the funny thing is she was like, I am not following that aftercare. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want to go swimming? No.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I just was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Like, I mean, it's a different perspective, right? When you're talking to people like that.
It's a completely different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's really, really heavy.
I do get people to sign something saying that their doctor thinks it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if somebody like feels a certain way or thinks something or kind of has this attitude like whatever, who cares, but like you're not getting the full story.
Right.
And I had a situation where one of my friends that I used to lifeguard with, over the years she had said like, oh, I want you to do my brows, and then she had like moved away and she moved back and she's like, oh, like she got this diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, I'm finally going to get you to do my brows. And so I booked time after that appointment to allow for crying.
Yep. And
she came in for the appointment and it was so great to see her. And I just, like I said, just she, you know, we just talked about what she wanted to talk about, which was easy because it's, you know, she's easy to talk to. And she's actually similar personality to me. Like she would say like, it's funny. Well, I don't really know why I say it's funny because like, it's not that funny, but whatever. Anyway. And then she'd just like talking about all these different things. And then at the end of the appointment, she's like, these look so good. She's like, I'm totally coming back for eyeliner. And in my heart, I knew I was never going to see her again.
Oh man. It's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah. So like, you know, she did pass away probably about 9 or 10 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
But she passed away with beautiful brows.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
she did message me. She's like, people have been complimenting my eyebrows.
So, but I see that as you gave her a wonderful gift. I see that as a gift.
Yeah. Well, and with the work we do, I spent time with her when other people couldn't.
Right.
Because she was really tired and like she was spending time with her family and like she was prioritizing certain things.
Right.
And like she wasn't like going out and seeing everyone. So like that was such a big like honor and privilege for me to spend time with her because like I wasn't one of her like best friends. But I got to spend time with her near the end. Yeah.
Okay. So under the umbrella of medical tattooing, there's areolas. And sometimes you're just coloring areolas. Like they want them darker. You know, I mean, especially here in Vegas. You know, we have a lot of
see them through the shirt.
Yeah, and dancers and things like that. So they just want their areolas bigger or, you know, darker or both. So sometimes it is cosmetic, you know, but you're on an areola. Most of the time it is medical. It is due to, mastitis, you know, clogging of the milk ducts, you know, and infections, but most times it is cancer related. So there's areola and nipple work. There's scar camouflaging, whether it's tummy tuck scars, facelift scars, you know. There's dog bites, burns, cleft lips, and there's now genital tattooing.
Yes.
Right? So all of that is under the umbrella of medical tattooing. If someone listening wants to get into medical tattooing, do you suggest they start with the nipple areola, or they've got the background that you want, that you require?
Okay.
Like, let's just get that straight.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Qualifier.
Yeah. I've already qualified them for
okay,
you.
Good.
Candice, I know what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you adamant that they start with the areola, Or can they start with scar camouflaging? Can they go right to genital tattooing? And I want you to describe what genital tattooing is. I know it's called, there's other terms for it. Can they start anywhere they want?
Yeah.
Within the scope of medical tattooing if they've got the background.
So they can do nipples or camo. That's okay.
That's okay. They can start
by my opinion.
By your opinion. Okay.
Yeah, but I have come out with a I mean it's kind of nicknamed a Phalloplasty course.
Yes.
And then I guess like so I guess explaining more about genital tattooing, because people are like, when I mention that I do that and I've spoken at conventions about it, it's actually kind of like my ultra niche thing that I'm known for is these penis tattoos.
Yeah.
And of course I do vaginoplasty as well, but that's
so it's female to male.
Yes.
Transition.
Yes.
Just so listeners are clear.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so basically like with well, I guess to answer your question first, you can do camo, which is like stretch marks, scars, pigmentation loss, like basically custom mixing ink to match skin tone and implanting it. That's camo. You can do that. Or you can do nipple tattoos. You don't need to do those in a certain order or anything like that.
Okay, but that one of those two places is where you start in medical tattooing.
But with the genital work, you have to know camo first.
You have to know camo first.
Because basically like the big thing that you're doing, to explain what phalloplasty is it's a constructed phallus or penis from skin grafts on a trans man.
Right.
So they have this now, but because it's created through skin grafts, it's usually quite pale.
And
like,
there's no texture or nothing.
There can be like different types of surgeries that create some like, you know, like glandsplasty. Like they can create like sort of a bit of a ridge or like a head.
I know. I was going to say, like, I'm a lesbian. I don't know the terms used for penises. You know, I don't even know when the last time I saw a real penis, Candice. It was probably 1982. No, I don't fucking know.
The year.
I don't know. I mean, you would be, you know, the expert.
Thank you.
Just being a straight lady.
Well, actually,
more expert than me.
It's super funny because
the tip. That's what I was going to say. The
yes.
tip.
Yeah. The
Is that
head.
appropriate?
Yeah. Well, the head and the tip. Yeah.
I don't like the word head.
Well, I mean, but you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying.
So it's a theater of the mind.
Yeah. I do know what you're saying.
And for people that are looking on YouTube, I'm not helping with the hands. I'm not doing anything.
But heterosexual women probably don't mind the word head because they give head. Right? I mean, come on, Olivia, right?
Okay. She's like, leave me out of this.
I know my Olivia's very sexual. She's on her second baby, you know? So, you know, outside of penetration, I'm not sure what else she dabbles in, but and I know she won't tell either. But
Bring not
on the podcast. She'd probably tell Sarah, and then maybe I could get it out of Sarah. But
well, it's funny actually because one of my clients said, like, we had done a couple sessions and I said, like, how much veining do you want? Like, are there any kind of like other details that you're wanting for this next session?
I was gonna ask you about that.
And he was like, I don't know, like, what do you think?
So you're going to tell him what you find attractive.
Well, and this is what's funny about it, right?
Okay.
Because I have a sense of humor about it. And I think, like, yes, it's important to be professional, but even though I'm like literally tattooing people's penises, we like are like everyone's like, I really thought this was going to be awkward, but like it's like not a big deal. Like, you know, we're just talking and it's just an appointment or whatever. And so anyway, he said that to me and he's like, oh, what do you think? And I said, let me look something up so I'm not doing this from memory. And we both like just started laughing. And then so I'm Googling penis and it's showing like a for some reason, front, page results of Google
Right.
is a cut off penis on the ground.
Oh,
And I was
God.
like, why would, so I was like, I'm going to stop with the
Well,
Googling.
Lorena Bobbitt.
Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's what
she
people
cut off
think.
his penis.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
Well,
I just watched that documentary on Hulu, I think.
I did watch it as well.
Yeah. Did you watch that? I mean, she cut it right off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they reattached it. They found it and they reattached it. It's not funny.
Well,
I know, why are we laughing? It's a very dramatic thing.
Yeah. No,
him.
that's a whole other type of surgery.
I mean, she found great pleasure in it. She talked about it in the documentary. It's a great documentary. Anyway. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, so what I actually ended up, what I do now is I use dildos as a reference. Or Packers.
So if we walk into your tattoo room,
no,
you have like what, a dildo case?
Okay, that would be funny,
like
and maybe I
funny.
will. I haven't gone down that road yet, but no, photos.
Photos.
Of dildos.
Okay.
So the reason why is because I kind of like to think like, so people also send me reference photos because they'll do their own research and they're like, I like the look of this or whatever. But if we're trying to figure out like veining, or they're like, I'll leave it up to you or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of say like dildos, there's lots of research behind that. What is the aesthetic ideal? People are into certain things, right? Some people want like lots of veins. Some people want a little bit or none or whatever. But you can get a full range of like somebody that has like created sort of like the aesthetic ideal of like, they've done the market research. They know what people want. They know what sells. They know,
Yes.
So why not look into something that people have already looked into? Like, I try to do that sort of stuff just to make my life easier and not be like looking through pictures and also going off of my own opinion, right? Like, this one looks like it might be a client favorite. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would not be a good tattooer of the phallus.
I mean, yeah, I
would not. I have no reference.
I mean, but it's kind of like with nipple tattoos, right? Like, you start with qualifying questions. Like,
but I had lots of references there.
Okay.
I had quite a bit of real life like experience and references there.
But you weren't like, these are my favorite nipples.
Well, like, I do have my favorites,
Yeah.
But what I did back in the day, and this honest to God, is I went and bought a bunch of Playboy magazines and Hustler magazines because there was no training. There was no internet. How am I supposed to, I was self-taught. So, I mean, I knew dark and light shading. I knew how to do texture because I was body tattooing. I just had to I really did not have a lot of experience with women's breasts. But I had to like look at all of the different types of areolas and colors, and some have, and learn them. And so the only way to do that back then was really to buy, the magazines. But
I mean, that's like, I mean, of course there's enhancement, usually or sometimes in those, but at least you're seeing it like on somebody.
Yes.
And you're seeing like with skin tone, like, positioning, like whatever. And that's like kind of giving you a bit of an idea as reference. And then once again, those are kind of like an aesthetic ideal. They've done some research on like, what people wanted to see. Right. So it's kind of like, those are, those are good reference. And actually I have a binder that I show people that has a bunch of kind of portfolio of like things I've done personally. And then at the back, I'm talking about nipple tattoos, but I should make a phalloplasty binder now that I think about it.
Because there might be a lot of people like me that I thought like they all look the same. But I've been,
but I do go a little bit off of what is there. And I think that like going back to what you talked about with being an artist, the biggest thing that I teach with people like wanting to get more of an artistic eye and give more realism is for me, in my opinion, being observant is the number one part of being an artist.
Yeah.
Because what an artist observes and paints and shows the world is like through an artist's view and eye and observation, and we're showing people what they can't see.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful. That was really
Thank
well
you.
said. That was really well said.
But
A bit poetic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, let's turn that into a quote. No.
Yeah. No, that was really great.
But really, like when you think about somebody drawing an eye, they're like, okay, like circle and like, sticks for eyelashes and whatever.
Right.
But when an artist does it, it's like, oh, the eye is like a weird shape and there's all these like things that kind of are like wiggly or that you wouldn't expect
and
to
the
look.
little specks of color, different color in the iris.
It looks weird. And the weirdness is what makes it real.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece of being an artist is like adding in those things that aren't just like perfect, stenciled, like circle nipples or whatever. Yes. Right? Like what is it that we observe through our perspective and our eye and our pieces of observation that we're able to show that make it look real.
Right. Let me ask you this. Do you think hyper-realism has gone too far or you can go too far with hyper-realism?
I think that there's some details that get lost in the sauce when you're tattooing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to layer and not try and do everything in one appointment.
Agreed.
Because those details are just like not even going to be there anyway.
Yep.
And they're going to kind of get pushed out by the time there's like blood and lymph and like the skin's done. It needs to settle, and you can put those details on top, and then you can also see what color you're dealing with because it's so pink.
Yeah.
And that's also why like camouflage is like, I joke that it's like one of the least rewarding before and afters because it's like, it looks so much worse after. So I never, I don't like, and then if it does look good after, it's usually because like it's swelling, it's kind of pink everywhere. And then people post that and they go, oh, look at this result immediately after. And I'm like, well, that's not realistic either.
Right.
Because it's only blending together because it's all pink or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like if we're zooming in so close and we're trying to do a detail that is only there if you're that close and you're doing that many details, you're not actually portraying it the way someone would see themselves in the mirror. So like the way I kind of like talk to people, especially when you're dealing with people that are coming to you with insecurities, is like, I say like, don't look down on yourself, double meaning. But like if you're looking down on yourself, you're seeing it like no one's looking over your shoulder, looking down at your body. Right. You see that. But when you're standing and talking to somebody, like, I mean, look in the mirror normally, that's usually the distance that like somebody's talking to you. And yes, I know you're not necessarily doing it for someone else, but you also need to gain perspective on like the way you're seen and really like get out of that idea. Yeah. And that's also the way we should be tattooing. We shouldn't be tattooing going like super, super zoomed in and detailed. Yeah. Or like, like when you see some of these eyebrows where it's like, you can see like every single hair. Yeah. And it's like, I never look at someone's face and see every single hair on their eyebrows. Yeah. That's not real either. Right. Yeah. Even though if we zoom in, that's what it looks like. If you're looking at somebody from a distance, that shouldn't be something you notice on somebody. Yeah.
I've seen some that I just felt they went too far with the details and the texture and the hyper-realism to where it just didn't look good. I didn't like it, Candice, and I've seen that. Yeah. Like, and and I'm wondering like, how far are they going to go?
And you're like, it's beautifully done close up. Like, you're like, wow, like I am looking at this zoomed in and it is like really, really good. Yeah. But then if it's like zoomed out and just like, okay, and now we have like both brows and we have the whole face and it's like, it actually is like very like, stage looking or something.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, we're going to like lay down, we're just going to do a more simplistic for sessions. Less is more. Yeah. And then I'm going to see you back.
Get a foundation.
Yes.
Get used to that.
Yes. Most people don't want more once they see, because first session, I do add the mammary glands and, and I do add a little bit of detail and texture that I'm comfortable with. And most time, I would say 80% of the time, they don't want to add more. They're just so thrilled and so happy with it. They don't want to add more. And every now and then I will get somebody that wants to add a little bit more. And that's okay too, whatever makes them happy. But I have to be happy too. I've always been an artist that I will compromise, but not to the point where I end up unhappy with the work. Like I won't compromise that much to where I end up unhappy and not proud of the work, the piece.
I think like some of the dysmorphia can get complicated with people that have gone through so much, and they like I had a case where somebody had nipple reduction surgery. They wanted their areolas to look smaller, so they had surgery to like basically like make them smaller and sew them back on and whatever. And it's a bit of a like it's a bit of a, I don't know, rabbit hole isn't the right word. Like it's kind of like it just keeps going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so then it was like another surgery and another, and then now there's like more scars and whatever. And so by the time she came to me, I have this on my Instagram. They were like, one was here and one was like, they were like diagonal from each other. And she was like, oh, I just like, there was all this extra scarring I wasn't anticipating. And I was like, okay, so I have to add size back because the outline is like, they're not the same size. The outline is not smooth. Like, so it was kind of a bit of a like test of like, you know, you've gone through all this to make them smaller, but like, we do need to add it back to make them look even now and to be more in line with each other. And there was also the piece, and this is a big thing with nipple tattoos as well, is like there's the areola, but then where inside the areola is the nipple? It's not necessarily centered sometimes because they cut off too much areola at the top or at the bottom or whatever. So then they would have like the areola and then the nipple was like close to the top. There's like all this areola underneath, very little on top. So she was like really fixated on like each side. Oh, well, I want the nipple to be in the center of the areola. And I'm like, yes, in a perfect world, that is what we would do. But we're just trying to get them to like, when you look at your chest, we're not seeing that they're so.
Yeah, kind of the same with eyebrows. You're just trying to, when you look at them. Yeah. You know,
you need to accommodate and So I did that. I said, okay, let's just do it this way. Let's do it the way I think will look the most balanced and then see what you think. So I did all this extra shading to make the eye believe that like, cause there was very little like actual nipple protrusion left.
Okay. Right.
And so, I had like, there was like a piece in kind of the corner and then a piece up the other side. And so I really like shaded them and I made them actually look like it was a lot of work and there was scarring and whatever. And I was like, wow, this looks so good. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. And she kept going, oh, but you need to go around where the nipple is. And like, I know we say nipple is kind of like the whole thing, but there's areola and then the nipple in the center.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, like just let it heal and whatever. And she came back and she was so adamant about having the nipple like in the center and it needed to be this way.
In the center of the areola.
Yes.
But if you did that, it would make the areola look
then we'd have to make
higher.
It bigger.
You have to make it bigger. And this
to make it even all around.
These are the complications of that.
And expectations.
Yes.
And so when she came back, she just was like, I was like, okay, here's what it takes to do what you're asking. And like, I drew it out and whatever. And like, and she was like, yeah, I want it this way. I want it this way.
Yeah.
And so I gave her what she wanted. The second appointment, the first appointment
was for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean like,
but that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair, right?
She tried it. She just could not get over it.
No, I think that's fair.
But I couldn't force her to live with what I thought was.
No, and I think that's fair. And that's how I approach things.
Yeah.
Just let this heal and live with it for the next 3 months. And if you don't like it, I think that's a fair compromise. I think that's really, really fair.
You know, I'd love to say that like, no, because I know you see it all the time, right? I turn people away and, you know, if they're not going to do that, I can't be the artist. And I'm like, you know what though?
I don't really turn a lot of people away unless I can tell they're assholes or mentally unstable.
I do a lot of stuff that people are like, that's a big no-no. And I understand why there's rules.
Yeah.
And it's good to know those rules and not just kind of like never care about them. but every now and then you do have to.
You certainly do have to
Yeah.
turn people away. But I think this is where education.
Or break the rules.
Yeah. Or break the rules.
Yeah.
But this is where education and experience comes into play, because
Yeah.
you need to know how to talk to that client.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to educate the client on why you're not going to do something.
Yeah.
Or why, at the very least, you're uncomfortable and don't want to do something. They need to be educated. And I find most clients listen to me. They do see me as the expert, and they listen to me when I explain why. Sometimes I have to break it down into tiny little nuggets so they can absorb it and they understand why. Because we have to be patient. They don't know what they don't know. We know everything. Right? Well, I do. You do. Right? Well, not everything, but we're so seasoned in our niches. We know a lot, right? I would never say we know everything, but we know so much, Candice. We really have become experts, and it's just so good at what we do. We know a lot, and sometimes it's just a gut feeling that we're listening to. And the client don't know what they don't know.
Well, that's the other piece of it too, is like, we can see things in our minds. We can picture the outcome.
Yes.
But a lot of people can't.
Right.
And I think that's another big part about being an artist, is understanding what we take for granted with how we see things, and then also just obviously our experience
Yes.
and knowing what the outcome
Yeah.
is. And sometimes I'll have people say like, oh, I really want this. And in my head, I'm kind of like, that's a bad idea. And then I go, okay, well, why don't I start with the drawing? And then when you take a look, you can give me some feedback. We'll just have this as something to start with. And then you can let me know what you think, bigger, smaller, whatever. And I don't necessarily do what they asked for. I do what suits them and their body.
Without
and then,
even telling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
they're going to sit up and look in the mirror and go, oh my God.
Well, I had somebody bring in a photo of their chest, breasts, boobies, with a clear sheet over top, like a projector film.
Oh, okay.
And they had drawn their nipples over it. And they were like, this is my chest. And this is how I want my nipples. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, I thought I was type A now. But I think also understanding that type of client, when somebody's really trying to control something, it's anxiety. It's not necessarily people take it really personally. They're like, oh, this person, they don't think I know what I'm doing. I'm like, it's anxiety. It's a manifestation of anxiety. So you just need to be like, okay. And I mean, I laughed. I was like, I've never seen that. Yeah. And I'm like, and then she was like, oh, haha. And I was like, okay, I get that you're trying to communicate that to me. And why don't I draw something up and we'll go from there, because the picture you take is also when you take a picture of yourself, your arms, or you have one arm, and obviously your breasts are not going to be it's not even an accurate photo that you're working off of.
Yeah.
And so when I say that sort of stuff, they're like, oh. And then they're kind of like, wait, I guess I can release control, let go of some of the anxiety, and trust somebody that is going to do this. And then we can go off of what they you can talk about it as much as you want.
Yeah.
And you can I've had people be like, oh, I want this and kind of like that. And I'm like, okay, let's just start with the visual of it on you. And then there's actually shockingly very little conversation after they see it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I had a lady one time, and she was really particular and really wanted to control everything, lots of anxiety, but survived breast cancer. So it was an areola base and nipple, 3D. And she had just divorced her husband and become a nudist.
Oh.
Yeah, at in her 50s. Divorced her husband and became a nudist.
So what does that mean? Just living fully nude all the time on a colony?
In a colony, going to the nudie beach. And so I'm like, so my work is going to be on display. Yeah. Constantly. And she goes, your work and my new areolas and nipples are going to be on display. And she didn't I always have them, do you have any pictures of what your breasts look like before the surgery. That is always very, very helpful for me. And most of them do. So I have them bring that in for their consultation because we'll email. Sometimes I'll get on the phone with them. And I oftentimes find that they don't want either they want you to completely replicate what they had, or they want something completely different, bigger, darker,
better.
pinker, better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So but she was a nudist and she was a hoot. She was controlling, very particular. She drove me nuts, to be honest with you. Like she asked me, she wanted to hold a mirror. And I was like, well, that ain't happening. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't like the choice of music she picked. And so I said, no, we're gonna listen to Elvis today. So, but anyway, she ended up being one of my favorite clients. One of my favorite clients. But
I think that's another thing you see a lot in the Facebook groups too, is like the immediate write-off. Like I wouldn't put up with that. Like just don't even deal with that client.
No.
And I'm like, okay, the amount of clients that I've had that are like considered like red flag or difficult or whatever, it's like, I've already worked with them, or like there's kind of some stuff that's come up. It's kind of just part of business.
It is part of business. It's part of our business.
Yeah.
We're in the people business.
And like they don't know all these things are red flags or whatever.
Right.
And like there's some people that like right away you're just like, oh my God, this person's like not even worth it. But if like, especially if you've already kind of like dealt with somebody, it's important to kind of like stand your ground and have boundaries and share why you're doing it. And yeah, it's extra work and it's, emotional labor and all that other stuff, but it's part of it. Well, it's just a part of it.
Well, you got to ask yourself too. I think, ask yourself, what would you want to experience if you were going in to have something? So, because it's really intimate and emotional to have your areolas and nipples done, or covering a scar that has affected their self-esteem for years and years. You have to ask yourself, how would you want to be treated? How would you want to be spoken to? How would you want to be dealt with? What kind of experience would you want to have if you were seeking this treatment? And I had a student, and I asked her that. And do you know, maybe 3 years later, I saw her at a conference last year, and she told me, by me turning it around on her that way, it changed everything. Because she didn't have a lot of patience, didn't have a lot of tolerance, and quick to write people off, her way. And she said, you just saying that to me, like just my patience, grew, my tolerant, I became more tolerant. I became more willing to have conversation and get to know them. Like, yeah, there's a human being behind every eyebrow, behind every areola, behind every procedure that we do. There is a human being.
Well, I think that's such a big piece of like having self-awareness.
Yes.
How you're responding to this person. And we were talking before this about like, if you're feeling impatient with somebody, like, is it because your boundaries weren't properly communicated or explained, and now you're like resentful of somebody that you never communicated initially, like what bothers you or how you expected things to go, and they don't know, and you don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
But also that's a big piece of why I do those full appointment run-throughs, because I can see some of that impatience sometimes, or I can kind of see people like I had a student where we have a model standing there with no pants on, like she's wearing underwear, and we're looking at like stretch marks on like the butt and thigh. And then the student just goes like, okay, and just is like moving her, like touching the model and like moving her. And I go, okay, so we need to talk to the person and say like, okay, I'm just going to get you to turn slightly this way or whatever. And then like, oh, like, and then I go, oh, like, I'm just going to touch you.
Yes.
Because think about if you're standing there and you're zoning out and you're like, I'm a model and these people are taking forever because they're learning, you know, it's part of it. And then all of a sudden people are like, you know, manhandling you around.
I was going to say manhandling you.
And then you're kind of like, oh, and maybe they expect it as a model or whatever. But I mean, you know, you are learning how to deal with a real client, and also just part of like the consent aspect of like, you know, you're just suddenly touching somebody and it's kind of that, you know, surprise. And yeah, I mean, the way I run my appointments is I always start out the same, where I introduce myself, even though like I'm the only person they would be working with anyway. And I think there's probably no one else that looks like me in the, you know.
They've researched you. They know who you are. But it's good to introduce yourself.
Yeah. And then, you know, and then you know, and then we just kind of have that like quick, easy thing. And I mean, it's funny too, like a lot of people say, you know, they're like, yeah, I met The Rock and he was like, oh, hi, I'm like, and it's like, yeah, obviously, like, I don't, you know, so anyway, I'm The Rock apparently in this example. But anyway, so I like bring them into the appointment and I say, okay, so I'm just going to go over how the appointment works. And then I say, you know, first, we're going to take some pictures of how you look now. I always word it that way.
Yeah.
I don't say like, we're going to take pictures of like, you know, all these things that bother you or you're, you know, like, you know, whatever. And then, you know, we put on the numbing and, you know, and then we can draw it out. You approve the drawing and then we'll mix the color. You approve the color. And then we start tattooing. And then I always say, you know, it's not just like lay down and we're going to start tattooing. It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
And they always are like, oh,
no, it's really, really important. I do that just for brows, eyeliner. I've been doing that for years. I think it's really important to.
Well, because they're kind of like, okay,
they're nervous.
I know what to expect now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A lot of them have never had a tattoo.
Exactly.
And so like, I just go through that. And it's funny because I've been doing that for years because obviously, as we discussed, I'm very type A. I like to put it out there. It's good for them to know. It's good for me. It's also good kind of just like, especially when you're first learning, to have that like procedural protocol of like, yeah, this is the order I'm doing things.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And then I like went to an appointment at like this like specialist in this genre that I'd never done before. And I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen in this appointment. And so she's like, okay, go in this room. And all of a sudden she's like hooking me up to stuff. And I was kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is why I run my appointments.
Say, yeah, you didn't like that experience.
Exactly. And I was like, wow, this just really like reaffirms how important it is to like say to somebody, like, first we're going to do this. And then this machine does that. And then we look at it like, you know, and it only takes a few extra seconds.
No, it's very important. I even talk to them during the procedure and tell them where I'm at. Like if I'm on an eyeliner. Okay, we finished one pass. I'm going to start. I'm going to put a little bit of lidocaine on you.
And I mean, they're going to ask too. They're going to be like, what are you putting on?
Yeah. And I tell them everything. I say, okay, I'm in the middle of your eye. I'm heading in towards your tear duct now. That will complete the second pass. We got one more to go. I just tell them if I have an area, if their skin's taking well, I say, oh, it's fantastic. Your skin's taking well. If I see some bleeding, I tell them that I see some bleeding, very normal for some. If I have an area where their skin's not taking pigment, I say that. I say, oh, I got this area. It's not really taking pigment really well. I'm going to skip over that, put a little epi. I'll come back to it and see if we can get it to take. I don't know. I just maybe it's because I'm used to being on stage, mic'd up, doing demos.
I always joke that I'm like, I tattoo like a cooking show.
Yeah.
Right? Like what you say. It's like, okay, so first I'm going to do this. And then it's like, okay, set that aside. Like as if you're still teaching.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, by the time I'm done, you're going to know how to do this yourself.
And I don't know what came first, right? The stage with the mic and having to explain to an audience.
Or if someone's hard to talk to, it's a perfect gap filler.
It's
where
a
you're
perfect
kind of
gap
like
filler.
Well, and also too, actually what I started doing with appointments, like especially for like brows and stuff where like they can't see, I would say like, oh, so like when I tattoo, like I have to wipe the ink off. And because people used to ask me like, am I really bleeding? they're picturing me mopping blood off
I
their
know.
face. They don't know we're wiping ink.
Yeah.
So like I started just saying stuff like that too. And then I would like throw it in there and I'd be like, yeah, people used to think that they were like just crazy bleeding and I'm just wiping blood off their face. And then they would say like, oh yeah, that's what I thought. So like they're picturing this in their head. So that's just another piece of us like just, you know, assuming that people have a base knowledge and they don't.
They do not.
Yeah.
No. So, all right, Candice. So I'm going to leave you with the last word. Is there anything you want to get off your chest? It can be your biggest pet peeve, the thing you're proudest about, how the industry's evolved, where you want to see the industry. A final word to those that want to get into this. It could be whatever. I just want you to have the mic for a second and the last word, because this is your love. Right? This is your love. You're very passionate about it. It brings tears to your eyes because you love it so much and you care about it so much. You care about the craft.
Yeah.
And you care about the client and the work being performed and the healed results. You live for those healed results and teaching the proper way. And raising the standard in this industry. I know all that about you. So I wanted you on this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just like blew a bunch of hot air. All true. So you were hopefully in your mind thinking of what you wanted to say. So you're on the spot. But no, all very true. So the mic's yours. Just wrap it up.
I mean, there's so many things that you brought up through our conversation where I was kind of like, oh, I have something to say about I have something to say about everything. But I think something you said earlier about being in a niche. And I think like what's really cool about being in a medical niche is there's so much of it that is custom. And there's so much that can still be sort of like learned or discovered. And I think one of the things that I really want to teach people is like we talked about, like being an artist and really sort of translating some of that like intuition and like combining your existing knowledge that you have with like seeing the situation and being like, okay, maybe I'll break a rule for this or whatever. And I did a demo at the SPCP convention on web toes syndactyly. And people really, really wanted me to give them like a step 1, do this, step 2, do that.
Yeah.
They really kept being like, oh, like, how do you, and I, before I even got there, I was like, I really want to stress that this isn't just like how to do web toes. Cause how often do you get those kind of clients? Like it's not going to be kind of like
it's one of those
a service on your website of like, you know, nonstop clients in that genre. But how do you do any appointment that is custom? Because basically, even if it's an eyebrow appointment, it's always custom. It's always a different face. It's always a different situation.
Draw from your fundamentals, I would imagine.
So like, yes, there's how to run an appointment step by step, but how do you approach custom cases step by step without being like, oh, I always do this. I always do that.
Yeah.
I don't always use the same technique. I don't always use the same like, but I have a same process of how I approach it. So when you were talking about being like self-taught a lot with like camo and kind of like working in that niche and everything, I guess what kind of sets me apart is the way I teach is through all of that combined knowledge and foundation and fundamentals and like existing instruction that I have learned from other people, because I think we always should be learning and growing. But it essentially is my methodology that is more rooted in artistic concepts and observation and realism and what you're seeing, instead of like looking at it and being like, okay, what's an exact match, or like what does this look like, and like going from memory, like how much can we use life as a teacher, like use skin as your like thing that you're going off of, instead of just like, oh, I always use this formula of colors,
right?
Or like, you know, this person is like this ethnicity, so they're this color of ink.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of like one of those things that like, yes, it's not just kind of like this tangible instruction I can give you of like, oh, you just, you know, you always do this. And we do want things to be simpler and everything, but that's why this work is so niche and so important that you learn it properly and you actually are given those skills and are empowered to have that intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that was a word salad.
No,
but
no, it made sense. And I would imagine there's some people that have that ability and don't know it. And if they come train with someone like you can pull it out of them and expose them to their own skills and talents.
It's like a way of thinking.
Yeah. But there's going to be some people, do you agree, that don't have that? Do you feel there's some people that will never develop that?
I think like, because it's like a way of thinking. There's going to be people that are stuck in a different way of thinking. They're like, yeah, but what color do I use? Like, but
we see that with eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. But what steps? And I'm like, okay, but like, yeah.
You see that with design.
The Facebook groups. It's like, it's full of that. Here's a person. What color do I use? And so that is a good parallel. Like, how do we break out of just being like, I need to be told what to do, and get into this like ascended version of ourselves as an artist?
Yeah. It's like I told people I studied color theory and applied all the theory to hundreds and hundreds, thousands to where I got to the point, Candice, where I feel color. That's what happened to me mixing camouflage colors. So I could never teach it because I didn't have steps. And if you look at my tray of Areola colors, I can have 8 different pigment caps out. Don't tell me what I put in each one. I don't know. I just know I'm dipping here, I'm dipping there, I'm dipping there.
Like a body artist.
Like a body artist. It's all instinctual. I just know because I feel it and I know my colors. And I just have that. I just have that intuition. I have it. So I can't teach areolas. I feel I can't teach areolas. I've always felt like that. With my brows and my eyeliner, I had to develop steps. Okay, what do I do here? How can I turn that into a step? Okay, what do I do here? How can I turn that into a step? And I was pretty successful turning my brows, my eyeliner, my lips into procedures where I could teach in very specific steps. But the areolas and scar camouflaging, I could never teach those in steps. And I never really had the desire. It's almost,
like I had people saying like, I want to learn. Can you teach me? Like, I love your work. Like, I want to learn from you. And I was like, because I've had that sort of instruction before where they're like, oh yeah, I'll teach you. And then I'm just like watching them work. And I was like, okay, but like, this is one situation. What about actually understanding the concept? Right. And so I said, wait for me to put this together in a course. And then I really consciously went through my appointments after that. And I was like, why am I making this decision? So I had to like step out of that framework and be like, why did I add this? And why do I know how much to add? And so building a course based off of, and this is the difference, is like when it's based off of your own methodology,
right?
You're not just like taking a course from someone else and then being like, oh, I'll tweak it a little bit and then I'll train it.
Right.
Which is like a huge problem. Yes. So my course is like very different because I had to translate the stuff you're talking about, which is a struggle, into something that's teachable, so other people get into that headspace. And that course took me a long time.
Yeah, no, it does take a long time. That's
because I had to be like, and I mean, I'm picky about everything, like, you know, client position and like, just so much.
Well, I remember my first couple classes, I was like, okay, you know, because these people started wanting classes from me. I know, Olivia, we're gonna wrap it up. But I would say, Olivia's like, I gotta get going now. It's almost time to go home. But people wanted to take classes from me, and my mentor pushed me in to start teaching classes. But I'm like, okay, but it's like I'm not giving you guys no handout. Like, I'm not that kind of teacher, and I had to put that out there. Like, I don't give handouts. I don't do this. I don't do that. You know, you're just gonna come and you're gonna watch me. You know, I can't describe what I do. I just, back then I couldn't describe it, Candice. It just came from within. And, but like you said, over time, you had to backpedal. Okay, why do I do this? How do I do this? When do I make this move? When do I make that move? I had to go backwards.
Well, and that's why teaching is so hard, because they're going to question you.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, well, why did you do that? And then you have to be like,
yeah.
Oh. And then it's like, well, what situation would you not do that in? And like, those are good questions. Like, and those are good things to think, because, you know, you're actually trying to learn. You're not just like, oh, whatever, you know, I took a course and I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know,
I gotcha. All right. So where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Falcon Artistry.
Very easy to remember. Falcon, like the bird.
Yes, like the bird.
Falcon Artistry. You can check out her work. And you do offer hands-on training?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. And it's a hybrid. So the theory's online.
Yeah.
And they have
do the online in advance.
Okay.
So
in advance.
All the info, like all the stuff about surgeries. And I even go a little bit into marketing, business stuff, forms, all that stuff. And everything, like all that background knowledge. Okay. Then you have the 2 days in person, hands-on, full appointment run throughs.
Okay.
And that's all nipple types, like what we were talking about, not just 3D appearance, like tattooing actual nipple tissue, all that stuff. Because I feel like a lot of that isn't included.
Right.
And then camouflage, of course. And then once you know camouflage, then you can get into the genital tattooing.
Really cool custom stuff.
Because you know how to mix skin tones.
Right.
Because you can't.
Right.
There's a whole course on that.
Yes.
Then you get into the other really niche stuff.
So can people DM you? Do you mind DMs?
Yeah, they can DM me.
So they can DM you, but do not.
They can email me, all that stuff.
Do not DM her unless you're already. Build your. I mean, they can DM you to say hi.
You can, start a conversation.
Ask questions. Let her know where you are in your career. Be upfront and honest. If you're not quite ready, you heard her standards. But I think they're appropriate. And I think people actually appreciate that. I really, really do. Yeah. I think too many people have gotten screwed over in trainings. They're realizing things are getting glossed over or completely absent from courses and classes, and they're having to retrain. So I think people really respect that you have standards. You're not going to teach anybody unless they have this, and this already in place with their skill set.
It's not fair to the beginner,
right?
Who is like just getting completely left behind. It's not fair to the person that knows what they're doing, has that foundation, and is stopping to help a beginner in a class where they're supposed to be learning, not teaching someone else. Because we've all seen it.
Right.
You know, so like it needs to be fair for everybody. And it's literally not fair to a beginner to just be thrown into the deep end and like not know anything.
No.
And I've been in those courses where like the person beside me doesn't know how to put together a machine.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, Candice Falcon.
I know, we could just talk forever.
Yeah, and you live here in Vegas now.
Yes.
You moved here.
Love it.
I have clients. We have Vegas locals that listen to this podcast. So if anything that Candice specializes in that you heard yourself or someone you know, you can DM her on Instagram. And we both see our clients at Amber's studio.
Yeah.
You don't look like that at Amber's studio.
How rude. Yeah, you won't recognize me. I'm in disguise when I'm tattooing.
I know you're there to do business. You got all glammed up for the podcast.
Yes,
I love it.
I fully admit it.
I appreciate it.
Let's just pretend I always look like this.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's my persona.
And I'm having a really bad hair day today too. You show up with this like kick-ass, awesome. It's kind of like a popsicle green.
Yes, it's a bit
popsicle green.
I'm a bit faded right now.
That lime green. Yeah, but I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
So, and I'm having a very bad hair day, so it's okay. But thanks for taking time out of your day and coming and doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you
and
for
getting this information. Yeah, I mad respect for you. You're super talented, and anybody interested in wanting to learn, you're in good hands with Candice, 100%. And I wouldn't say, and I would not say that if I didn't truly mean it. And I didn't know that to be true. I would not say that. I wouldn't have you on, and I would not refer you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So that's the truth. That's the tea. And that's the Tatter-a-Fact. And we got Samson here. Did you enjoy this episode? Yeah, he did. All right. So isn't he cute? So until next time, thanks for hanging out with us. And keep your standards high and stay in the pursuit of happiness.